All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this edition of the Black Man Protect Your Seed series will be featuring the young Miss Maleah Davis, the 4-year-old girl who seems to not only have been kidnapped by her quote-unquote stepfather, but also killed and dismembered. He's alleging that she was kidnapped from him, and in the process of her being kidnapped, he was beaten down by 3 perpetrators. From the first time that I heard this story, I knew exactly what had occurred. And let me say this, brothers, the reason why I call this series Black Man Protect Your Seed is not only because the so-called black man has to be cognizant of the importance of hovering over and making sure that his child is always safe, but we also have to consider who it is that we're inseminating. So many times cats get into these back and forths, these circular conversations and arguments on the internet with the modern day liberal black woman. That's a waste of breath, trying to go back and forth with her and hoping for a resolution in any way, shape, or form. We have to start to utilize more scope in our decision making, starting with who it is that we're having children with, so that we don't get caught up in this nonsense. It's very clear to me that young Miss Maleah Davis's mother was caught up in a lot of nonsense, had no idea how to pick a man, because a woman is not even supposed to be picking her own man. The woman is supposed to be picked. The woman is supposed to be told who her man is going to be by her father. But that's a whole other issue, a whole other topic, a whole other can of worms that I don't want to delve into right now. But at the end of the day, the main reason why there's so much contention when it comes to relationships and children, so on and so forth, is because the woman has been given way more power than she deserves. It's very difficult for modern day males to discern that, because most modern day males think and act like women because they're being raised by women. So that leads to a very destructive cycle. And that's why we have so many cases of infanticide now, where females are moving out the quote unquote father of the child, moving in a new dude, normally someone who operates at a very low register, but in some way, shape, or form has a component that is alluring the woman. Either he's a quote unquote so-called thug or a tough guy or a degenerate of some sort. And that tends to attract many, especially younger liberal females. That's going to put your child at risk. So, when you're dealing with these females, when we're all dealing with these females, we have to ask ourselves, what type of dude is she attracted to? Because if you're not that woman's type, eventually she's going to try to replace you for whoever her type is. And if her type is a degenerate and you happen to have a child with that woman, once again, you're going to be putting your child in danger. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
A man police describe as the stepfather of a missing 4-year-old Texas girl will appear in court this morning in connection with her disappearance. Darian Vance is a...
Now look at this guy. Would you trust this dude with your child, man? If he has his own child, I would not trust him with his own child. Just looking at his face, you can see that he has mental issues and he's probably a drug addict.
Accused of tampering with human remains, even though no body has been found.
Of course, because the police know that he killed that young girl, he dismembered her, and he's trying to concoct some story that he believes in his little infinitesimal mind will account for some type of alibi. And it's not going to account for an alibi. He's a moron. He's someone who fell in love with a modern day female. He allowed his spirit to be entrapped by that female. And when he saw that she was starting to let him go, he wanted revenge. And in his mind, the best way for him to get revenge was by murdering her child.
Maleah Davis was last seen more than a week ago. Maleah Villarreal is in Houston with the latest details of this investigation. Maleah, good morning.
Brothers, let me say this. The spirit of infanticide is something that you always have to be aware of, cognizant of, or what have you, especially if you're dealing in a toxic relationship with the woman that you're with and you guys have a child. Because these women always believe that they can replace the man that they're with someone else. They have no idea what they're doing for the most part. They're not operating on a 3-dimensional level. They expose their children to reprobate men. And then when horrific things happen, they want to cry into the camera or shed crocodile tears. Sometimes they're not even upset that the child is dead, because when they look at the child, they're reminded of the child's father. But even when we search the animal kingdom, if you ever see the lions on the Serengeti, the first thing that a male lion does when he takes over the pride of another lion is kill the cubs. You understand that? So you have to make sure that your lioness is someone who is loyal to you to whatever degree you define loyalty, or at the very least understands what are manly attributes, what is responsibility, what is wherewithal, things of that nature. Hopefully she saw those things in you, and that's the reason why you're with her in the first place. But I mean, come on, we have to take inventory of everything going on in our lives, especially the people around us, man. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people out here bugged out of their fucking minds. And if you care about your child, the number one thing that we have to do if we care about our children is make sure that we know what type of person we having a child with. That's one of the main reasons why there's so much confusion in the so-called black community. We're running up in broads without a condom on or without protection just because they have a fat ass and nice lips. These broads have embraced all types of Luciferian ideologies, and they believe that all men are replaceable. So therefore, they're going to move another type of man into your home around your children. And 9 times out of 10, those men are degenerates themselves because they have the spirit of a woman on them.
Well, good morning. The Assistant District Attorney here in Harris County says there is a substantial likelihood that Darian Vence will face additional charges, possibly including murder. But so far, investigators have not publicly said if they believe Vence killed Maleah.
From the very first time that I heard about this story, it was very clear to me what occurred.
This morning, investigators will once again scour areas of Houston for Maleah Davis. Tim Miller is helping lead the search for the missing 4-year-old.
Yeah, I would like to hold on to that hope that she's alive out there somewhere.
Darian.
Sir, you and I both know that this young girl here is not alive, unfortunately. God bless her, but she's not alive.
Darian Vence reported Maleah missing more than a week ago. The 26-year-old was a...
Look at this dude. This guy has all types of demons on him, or what they call today psychological issues or disorders. He probably was raised in a very dysfunctional environment himself. That's another thing, brothers. When you're dealing with these broads, make sure that you pay very close attention to what type of household they came from. What type of person is their mother? Hopefully there was a father in the home, but 9 times out of 10 in this society, there's not a father in the home. And that's a plague that's not only affecting the so-called black community, but all communities now have been plagued by that issue, by that affliction of the man no longer being in the home. They're going to try to cast aspersions on the man and claim that he does not want to be a father. In reality, most of these modern day females have the spirit of the mother of harlots, Isis or Aset or Inanna per se. They believe that they're queens of heaven. They don't need a man. Really, their man, their new husband is the state. So they want to swap out men all the time. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because that's going to put your child at harm's risk if they're constantly around strange men. Hopefully, you're not the issue. Hopefully, we're not the issue, the actual fathers. But we all know that if your child is around a strange man, you never know what type of thoughts are going on in this dude's head. And the woman normally does not see it until it's too late because she's too busy being digmatized. She's living off the high of being able to trade in men.
Was arrested on Saturday after investigators found new clues inside the Southwest Houston apartment where he lived with Maleah and her mother. Drops of blood linked to Maleah and evidence someone tried to clean it up. A Houston TV station says these are...
Now look at this. It's very obvious that he does not care about the child at all. No person in their right mind, no adult in their right mind will be walking at least 40 steps ahead of a 4-year-old girl. You're supposed to make sure that your 4-year-old girl is walking by your side or in front of you. This person here could not care less about her. And supposedly there have been issues of child abuse in the past involving this person and that young girl.
Surveillance photos show Vence entering the apartment on April 30th with Maleah just steps behind him, but she was never seen coming out. More photos reportedly show Vence leaving the apartment 3 days later while carrying what prosecutors describe as a blue laundry basket with a garbage bag and bottles of bleach.
Yes, because he dismembered the young girl, that's why.
Prosecutors say investigators found a blue laundry basket and a gas can inside the car Vence claims was stolen from him by 3 men with Maleah inside.
Absolutely. That's exactly what 3 men want to do. They want to kidnap a little girl. That makes a lot of sense. Shows you that he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But neither is the mother for getting with him in the first place. That's why, once again, so-called black man. Those of you cats out there who are of a high intellect and high-level cognitive function, value yourself. Value your seed, man. Don't just impregnate these random bitches out here because they are going to turn on you and they're going to expose your child to the ills of this society. The job of the father is to protect their child as long as possible. And the initial way that we protect our children is making sure that the mother is in her right mind. Most of these broads are not in their right fucking mind, man. All right, I'm just going to be real with you on that. Most of them are bugged out of their fucking minds. So at the very least, if you're going to hit them up, use them for whatever purpose they have, make sure that you scrutinize which one it is that you're going to make such an important decision with of having a child, bringing another child into this world. It's difficult enough in this captivity being a so-called black person or a so-called person of color without us adding other issues to the equation.
Prosecutors also say cadaver dogs detected the scent of human remains inside the car.
Please help me find her. Please.
There's not one tear coming down that woman's face. She could care less.
Civil rights.
A lot of people might not like me saying that, but once again, many of these females, when they look at the child, they see the father of the child. They don't necessarily even see the child. A lot of them are allowing their children to be sexually molested, abused, physically denigrated, mentally denigrated. They don't say anything about it. They just sit back and let everything go because they don't want to lose that quote unquote new man. Maybe he's giving them good rod. Maybe he's paying some of the bills or what have you. That's how they operate. So the man, meaning the father of the child, we have to operate on a higher level, man.
Ms. Quanell X represents Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens. He describes Vence as Bowens' ex-fiance and says...
This guy is so bugged out, he must have bust himself in the forehead to make it look like he was the victim of some type of attack.
As Bowens recently called off the engagement.
When that happened, I believe that he psychologically snapped.
Look at this dude. The hell is wrong with him? Man looked like his father was a black man and his mother was a watermelon. What the hell is going on here?
Already on top of being abusive to Maleah, he did this to hurt the mother in a way that she would never recover.
Yes, because he allowed himself to quote unquote fall in love. Brothers, that's why I have that series, Should Men Fall in Love? You never ever fall in love with anything in the flesh. You love the things that deserve to be loved. You love those things, but fall in love, no. Because that breeds unhealthy attachments. And that leads you to do unhealthy things. So it would not surprise me if this person, this quote unquote male, he's not a man, he's just a male. It would not surprise me if in his history, maybe he was subjected to some type of abuse or violence in the home, or he saw certain things growing up that affected his mind and the little sanity that he has.
Vence is in jail on a $1 million bond and has a court-appointed attorney. Court documents obtained by our CBS partners KHOU report that Maleah was removed from the home last year after Child Protective Services actually thought there may have been abuse inside that home by the parents. Now, police tell us that Vence multiple times has changed his story about her disappearance.
He's too stupid to have a real story. But of course, he was abusing her last year. If not just physically, maybe sexually as well. Who the hell knows? Either way, someone like that needs to be drawn and quartered.
Thank you, Maleah. The story makes me so sad and so angry, too.
Yes.
You know, we thought at the beginning there was something fishy when he told the story about his little boy was found and the little girl is missing. When you see the pictures of her going in after him and appearing to come out what looks like a laundry basket.
There are security cameras everywhere.
Yeah, it's a very, very upsetting story.
And that's why I've stated that I have very little issue with the surveillance cameras. A lot of these people need to be surveilled because they bugged out of their fucking minds. But anyway, brothers, once again, black man, protect your seed, man. That's the most important thing that we have. So peace.